Any questions that you would like to ask? Anything that you would like to clarify?
Morning, everybody. The reason we let you in a little early is to have a kind of a discussion or talk with Sudha ma'am.
Because last week's, no, there were some questions regarding some clarification. So, no, those who have that questions, please do ask so that, no, we can. Anyway, this class I've taken care that that is also incorporated. But still, in case you have anything that you would like to clarify, please ask so that we can go ahead with the questions. No questions, no?
No questions, ma'am.
See, you need not worry about how you will be writing your reflection. Initially, yes, it's going to be a struggle, but no, after your unit 1, you will have that confidence that you can write your unit 2 and unit 3. So unit 1 reflection is 400 words only. So once that is done, you will have, and your observation report also, I'll continuously keep the review on how exactly you have to go about writing the observation report. And if a mentor is already done, then no, the mentor can help. If your mentor is a first time mentor, there is also a mentoring course that can be taken from Cambridge. I'll share those details also. If your mentor is a first time mentor, okay, and would like some guidance from me, yes, I will have a one-on-one meeting, or I can also meet with them, okay, mentors, 2 or 3 mentors together, and help them how to write the observation report and details. Okay. Yeah. Shamba ma'am, your camera is locked.
Yes, ma'am. I'm trying to rectify that only from the setting. Actually, I had put it on.
Ma'am, F8, F6, sorry, wait, F6, I think, ma'am, just check.
Yeah, I've gone to the setting. Actually, I had connected it with our smart board. After that, I'm seeing it has got locked. I'll try, ma'am. I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. 9:30 it is. So let us start. Okay. Yeah. So before we begin, just have a I request someone is unmuted. Please be on mute. Okay. So let us look at last week's feedback and clarifications. Okay. So examples of writing reflection. Remember, each person's reflection is going. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So each person's reflection is going to be unique. So there are certain exemplars that are available. Yes, you can go through those exemplars. But however, writing in the same way should be avoided because your reflection is going to be totally different from that is given in the exemplar. And no, there was one feedback that was given that more of explanation should be avoided and more of interaction. I don't know where exactly that had happened because I try making candidates speak to the maximum. Okay. So only thing document wise, I would request you to read out and you will have to explain, and wherever possible, I will be pitching in. Next is there was also a comment that no, there was a breakout session in the starting. See, that varies from session to session. So initially it's going to be feedback and clarification. Maybe the candidate has joined late. So that's the reason you have missed out on the feedback and clarification, and then the learning objective discussion also you've missed out. So that is the reason, like, no, you have directly joined in the feedback breakout room. So today the objectives are understand the assessment criteria, analyze the assessment criteria based on the exemplar given, work on peer observation and note the key features. I think at least you would have observed one class of your peer the last week. Investigate on the behavior of learning and metacognition. So we will be looking at all these areas for the day. So I think all are clear, or any doubts that you have regarding this? Understand assessment criteria, analyze based on the given exemplar, work on peer observation and note the key features in the class, investigate on behavior and metacognition. Any questions here? Yes? What happened? All are there or not there? Okay, please do tell me, otherwise thumbs up at least so
It's
that now
clear, ma'am. Yes,
yeah.
ma'am.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. It's
Clear,
clear.
ma'am.
Okay, now, so please open your module guide. Remember, all throughout this course, the material that you will be referring is the module guide. It is shared with you. You can also take a printout and keep it with you because all your assignments will be based on the key questions and the learning outcomes as given in the module guide. Okay. So here you will have to relate these terms: learning outcomes, key questions, evidence of learning, evidence of practice, and evidence of reflection. I'm putting it in the chat box. Relate the following terms: learning outcomes, key questions. Use your module guide. Remember, you have done it with the syllabus document. Just give a check for the learning outcomes, key questions, evidence of learning, evidence of practice, and evidence of reflection. Were you able to open?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
right.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a recall that we have done already. So please do let me know where you find the learning outcomes. Okay. And what is that your understanding about learning outcomes? Key questions, where do you find it? Evidence of learning, where do you see? Evidence of practice, where do you see? Evidence of reflection, where do you see? Okay. Please do put your answers in the chat box. Okay. Very true. Yes, correct. So Preeti says each learning outcome is what the candidate must know, understand, and be able to demonstrate after completing the associated professional learning. The key questions indicate the professional learning related to each learning outcome. These questions will support you as you explore knowledge, skills, and understanding required to achieve the learning outcome. Okay. Learning outcome is specific, measurable statement describing what a student should know or value after completing a lesson, course, or program. Okay, it outlines the expected skills, knowledge, or attitudes gained, help assess whether educational goals have been achieved. Manjari, I think you have searched in Google. Okay. I would like you to look from the perspective of your module guide. Module guide, so that you will have the idea. See, once you develop your own framework or your own meaning to it, you will be able to relate it to things in a much better way. That is the reason. See, even if it is wrong, no problem. But that is what is going to guide you throughout. Okay. Preeti ma'am, can you just tell me what is evidence of reflection? What is that, the meaning of the word evidence of reflection? Shampa ma'am, the work is actually from your module guide, relate the following terms.
Trial.
Yeah, I'm able to hear you, ma'am. Can you hear me? Relate the terms I've given in the chat box. Learning outcomes, key questions, evidence of learning, evidence of practice, and evidence of
Trial.
reflection.
Ma'am, reflection is something, first of all, we need to know it is a sort of process in which whatever we have, classes we have taken or whatever we have done, we reflect on that. And the reflection can be after an evaluation that we have done. So that can also a feedback, that can also be a reflection. We can understand what the child have done, what is the particular learning that has happened. And the evidences can be, it can be a portfolio also, which can be an evidence, which I feel, Because they,
No. Here, remember, it is one word, evidence of reflection.
okay,
What you're talking about hardcore evidences that comes under evidence of practice.
okay,
Okay, the portfolio and other things come under, remember the word artifacts? It comes
Yes,
under
yes.
artifacts. Okay, here evidence of learning, we are talking about that one word. Okay, again, Shampa ma'am, I want your idea based on the module guide. Module guide. Have you opened the module guide? See, this is your module guide. Can you see? It's already shared with you. This is your module guide.
Trial.
Shampa ma'am, actually, I'm not able to hear completely. Your voice is breaking only the first something I'm able to hear.
Trial. Trial.
Shampa ma'am, I think your system is actually on
Trial.
loop.
Ma'am, I think so. Some translation is on, Shampa ma'am. Translation or some key is on, I think so.
Sai, just check Sai once. Take any disk and try to sort it
Trial.
out.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Evidence of learning under the guidance of summative assessment. We describe prior knowledge of how it changes as we progress with our course. Okay. Evidence of practice. The mentor must provide feedback on how successfully the candidate. Very good. That's correct, Sharmila. Yes, it's a mentor's feedback that generally we take in the evidence of practice, and the first unit, it will be your reflection. Yes, Alicia, what you should be able to know or do is known as the learning outcome. So how will you reach that? That is actually guided through the key questions. Okay, evidence of reflection.
Trial.
Ma'am, it is still on. I'm just muting you because that sound is continuously coming in a periodic loop. Okay. So analyzing and evaluating the activities across the lessons and its impact using the reflective cycle. Very true, Alicia. That is evidence of reflection. Your written evidence of how you analyzed your practice. Okay. And what is that you have evaluated from that? That is what is evidence of reflection. Okay. Parveen, it's not coherent. This one, that is only one part of it. Yes, Manjari ma'am, now you have correct. Evidence of learning is the practices, the theories that you will be learning and how you plan to implement in your lessons. Okay, that's right. Evident mentors feedback, teaching methods proven to be effective. Right. So let us get back. So when we work through, learning outcomes are the key statements which you will have to achieve for every unit. Remember, module 1 that you're undergoing is actually consisting of 3 units. Each unit has evidence of learning, evidence of practice, and evidence of reflection. Okay. Now, together, the number of words that you will be writing for evidence of learning and reflection together is 1200. Okay. Remember this part because many of them miss the word count. So unit 1, learning, EOL will be 800 words. EOR, evidence of reflection, will be 400 words. Okay. Unit 2, EOL will be 600, EOR will be 600 words. Unit 3 will be EOL will be 400 words, EOR will be 800 words. Now, each of these learning outcomes, in order for you to achieve, is guided by 4 to 5 key questions. Your evidence of learning and evidence of reflection must reflect upon the learning outcomes of the unit. Okay, the learning outcomes of the unit, which is guided, or how will you achieve the learning outcomes? It is by answering the key questions. So in your rough note or in your journal, you will be answering the key questions. After your implementation of planning, you will loop it together as a paragraph, a coherent paragraph, and submit it for your evidence of learning and evidence of reflection. Clear? Yes, is this part clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am. Can you
Yes,
show
ma'am.
the sample, ma'am? Is it possible?
We'll come to it. We'll come to it. I'm having
Okay.
it. We'll come to
Okay.
Ma'am,
Okay.
am I audible, ma'am, now?
it. Yes, Champa.
Thank you.
Yes, yeah.
Ma'am, can you repeat after?
Okay, I'll repeat once more. Listen. See, evidence of word count, you forget, it's already there in your candidate guide. Once you get your candidate guide, you can go through. When you're doing your evidence of learning or evidence of reflection, there are key questions for each learning outcome. Okay. Now, if you, I'll show you the sample also, this module guide. If you see through, then you will have an understanding. See, now you have this learning outcome. Okay, explain the understanding of learning and how people learn. Now, how exactly this is going to help? This learning outcome is for evidence of learning. So describe your personal understanding, concept of learning and how people learn. But remember, for this unit 1 EOL, your word count is only 400 words and you are supposed to answer for this question only around 300 words because you have 2 more questions to answer. Now, how will you answer for this? You have the guiding questions here. What is your personal understanding? KQ2, these are key questions. KQ3, KQ4 and KQ5. Okay. So you make notes of the answers for this. Please do not copy these statements and put there. Please don't do that. Okay.
Ma'am, these are the questions for the learning outcome, ma'am.
Learning outcome A.
The concept is learning.
Concept is, there is C. It is only a statement. Okay. Concepts, there are multiple concepts involved. Okay. So explain their understanding of learning and how people learn. That is your outcome that you have to reach. For this, the guiding questions are 5 questions. Next week onwards, we'll be directly starting with the learning outcomes only. Okay. So based on this, you will prepare your answers and then you will design a total 3 or 4 paras for your evidence of learning.
Ma'am,
Okay.
based on the key questions, ma'am, we
Yes.
have to design.
Okay. So the key
Yes.
questions remain the same, ma'am.
No, it will. Yes, for everyone, the key questions for that particular learning outcome is same.
Okay.
But as per the learning outcome, your key questions keep changing. So we will deal with it. Don't worry. I'm just giving you an outline of how you have to work. Okay. Every week. Now remember, next week onwards, our learning outcome will be the learning outcome of Cambridge. And we go into the key questions of each outcome. Okay. So how you plan, what you have learned, how you would like to implement, all this comes under evidence of learning. Okay.
Ma'am, in the guide, answers are given, no, ma'am. In the guide, answers are given, ma'am. So those are the reference for
Answers
our
are
learning.
not given. It is guidance that is given. Please understand,
Reference.
answers are not
Those
given.
are a reference. Reference. ma'am.
Those are your guidelines. Those are your guidelines of how to approach the answer. What you have to do or how you have to think to approach your answer. Okay. That is why I said, please do not copy paste those sentences into your portfolio. Okay. Plagiarism is treated very seriously as per Cambridge. So you should not be copy pasting those sentences here. Okay. There are references also given. You have that, well and good. Otherwise, you can collect your own references also for your evidence of learning and evidence of reflection. Clear? Now, today we are not going to deal with all this. I just wanted you to recall and understand the major reason that I asked you to look into that is because all these are evaluated. Now, if you know how they are evaluating, working on this becomes more easy, isn't it? So the evaluation is done through assessment criteria. Okay. So if you look at your module guide, just a minute, we'll come back again to this. I'll again go back to the module guide. Can you see here? The last part, they will give the assessment criteria. Criterion 1. This is assessment criteria 1. Can you see that? 1. Assessment criteria 2. So first is about understanding, teaching and learning. Second is developing thinking and practice. Third is analysis and discussion. Fourth is communication and presentation. Okay. So I would like you to read through, please thoroughly read through, okay, the assessment criteria, make your own notes. Time and again, after writing your portfolio, assess it against these assessment criteria. If they are fulfilling these, then only your portfolio will be given the required grading. Okay. So let us start. So I'm going to divide you into 4 groups. Each group will be working on each assessment criteria. Okay. And then you will have to present your understanding about the different assessment criteria. Now it's time 9:53. So around 9:54, we will be starting. So 10:04, I will be stopping the breakout rooms and we'll come back. Okay. Okay, welcome back. So let us start with the first group, that is Malika, Manjari, Parveen Begums, Kushi, and Tehsi.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Khushi ma'am, can you please share the
Yes, yes,
PPT? Yes.
yes, ma'am. So our, one second. So our assessment criteria is on understanding, teaching, and learning process. So to get the distinction in this, and we have to first present it in the form of understanding and analysis, clear and effective. It is like we have to give it in a not custom. We can tell it like. Okay, shows a clear grasp of key concept. We have to show the key concept, analyzing both strengths and weakness. Application and evaluation. So when we are applying and also while evaluating, applies these concepts in practice, critically evaluating their effectiveness and recognizing their any limitations. Now,
Okay,
ma'am will
so from here I'll continue for to be able to get distinction, in fact, in the understanding the teaching and the learning, to be able to get distinction. Now, to be awarded the distinction, the candidate must demonstrate a secure and well-focused understanding. That means the candidate must be understanding the concept, and also after understanding the concept, the relevant concepts and the principles of the teaching, they should apply in their own practices, and after application they definitely have to have the evidence of critical evaluation. So this is for understanding of the teaching and to be able to get distinction. Khushi ma'am, next. Rafia ma'am, can you please continue from here?
This is for fail, ma'am. The fail.
pass, ma'am. This is
No,
pass.
pass.
No, pass.
She has to tell.
No, pass. I think our friend is going to tell. Shall I go with fail otherwise?
Okay, ma'am.
Parveen is there in the group. Malika is there in the group.
I think Parveen ma'am.
Parveen should say, ma'am. Parveen has to.
Yes.
Parveen, ma'am, can you go ahead? Audio is not getting, ma'am. Now I am getting. Yeah. So here, pass. Pass is like practical understanding, ma'am. Has a good grasp of key ideas. So we are going to pass the candidates who are like having good grasp of key ideas and effectively applies them in their own teaching practices. So whatever they have the grasping of the key ideas,
Parveen
the
ma'am,
concept should be.
Parveen ma'am,
Yes,
can
ma'am.
I just pause here a minute? Remember, this is how Cambridge passes you. It is not
Okay.
you passing anyone. These assessment criteria are the criteria based on which your portfolio is evaluated. You get a distinction, pass or fail based on these criteria. Okay, ma'am? Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am. So we'll be getting a pass even only if we have good grasp of key ideas and effectively if we are able to apply in our teaching practices. And also we have to produce an evidence of reflection to support whatever we are having the understanding. So with the relevant concepts and principles of teaching and learning. So a candidate who meets these standards will secure a pass grade for the criterion. Taseen, ma'am, can you go ahead?
Yes, ma'am. It is, with regard to fail, the following points are to be considered. Like, we have limited understanding, which shows little or weak understanding of key concepts and principles, and also that demonstrates the lack of understanding of principles related to teaching and learning, and where there are no evidences shown of analysis or critical evaluation of own teaching practice, and also fails to recognize the relevance or importance of certain teaching and learning concepts and principles. And also, if we do not apply teaching and learning concepts and principles to our own practices, and shows lack of inability to translate knowledge into practice, provides poor quality evidence that lacks depth or insight into own teaching practice, and fails to meet the minimum requirement for the assessment criteria.
Right. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, anyone else would like to present anything?
Actually, I want to tell about the second point, poor application. So already Rafia ma'am told it, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now, just to wind up, remember, understanding teaching and learning is about how you are going to connect your theory to your practice. Okay. So if you're not relating whatever theory or research with your practice, then you will not be considered as a pass candidate. Okay. When you are relating your theory to practice, if you are able to recall, judge, make understanding, and also critique, this did not work for me. If you are able to do that, this particular theory states like this, but this did not work for me. If you are able to evaluate, then you go to the distinction level. Okay, clear? Okay, let us now look at this second group 2. Can you present the second, developing thinking and practice? Yes.
Yes,
I'll,
ma'am.
I'll start with the developing thinking and practice. I mean, evidence of effective practice.
Okay.
I'll share it once again.
Yeah.
Yes, Saujanya ma'am, you can.
Yes. From here, assessment criteria 2, developing thinking and practice. This clearly says that showing the continuous development in the teaching approach. So here I'm talking about the evidence of effective practice. Practice here, providing the evidence through candidates' lesson plans, observers' feedbacks, teaching and activity log. So all this clearly represents the evidence of effective practice. Apart from that, underpinning by an understanding of relevant theories, concepts, and principles of teaching and learning. So these are the evidences.
So the second slide, evidence of learning. Here, like as ma'am said, like evidence of learning would be how we conceptualize the theory and use them in practice. Before that, how we explain the theories according to our understanding and describe it in addition to what went right and what went wrong. That is the evidence of learning. The next
Ma'am,
slide.
evidence of reflection is demonstrating how practice to learn from our experiences. That means we have to take the feedback from our mentor, and then we have to improvise our reflection and how we are going to improve it. That is the evidence of reflection.
Okay.
Ma'am, last we have the assessment criteria, because right now we were just listening about the similar thing. Distinction, there are 3 criteria where it is divided into distinction, pass and fail, ma'am. So the evidences should have very effective practices, first of all, and it should have a very well focused understanding of whatever theories that we are actually applying, and whatever principles are the underlying principles on whatever practices that we are actually using during that particular thing, and it should be applied to our own practice. That means the implementation should have a very clear connect, I feel, with the theory. That is what I feel. And evidence of reflective evaluation of our own practices and identification of learning from our own experience should be there in our own journal. That is what is important. So that will give us the particular distinction level. That is, these are the criterias. Pass is again the evidences which are again having effective practices with a sound and largely accurate understanding of whatever theories that we are applying in our own practice and in our teaching, and some evidence of application of the theories and principles to own practices. So it has is that comparison clearly shows us in assessment criteria we have it done in a very perfect way. Here it shows that some evidence of application of theories are there. And fail means obviously we are not connecting the theory along with the practices that we are doing, implementing. So that doesn't have a good connect.
Yeah. Yes. Next person. That's it? So,
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
Anything else?
Okay. Now here, just to give more input, remember when you're understanding your theory and how you're putting it in your practices. What is meant by practice? All your EOPs. Okay. So many candidates don't understand that there is a link between your evidence of learning, evidence of practice, and evidence of reflection. So don't create standalone units. Remember, what you have learned must be coming in practice. What you have practiced must be written with evaluation in your reflection. Okay. So when you are thought process, when your practice is actually linked to the theory and an evaluation happens on those theories, then only you come under the distinction category. If you're simply writing about what happened in the class and linking with the theory without evaluation, it comes under the pass category. Okay. If there is no link, only writing about what had happened, it will become a fail. Okay. Right. Assessment criteria 3.
Yes, ma'am. The assessment criteria 3 is the analysis and evaluation, ma'am. Discussion, analysis and discussion. The key skills which has to be put on our writing is analysis, reasoning, and research. They should be, or they must be useful, relevant examples given. That those examples can be taken from any of the things. It can be from web pages, it can be from textbooks, it can also be from the any articles, ma'am. So basically it should be inquiry based, where there is discussion in the class and then reflect upon it and write in our assessment assignments, ma'am. If they have to talk, I think Alisha ma'am will speak about pass, fail, and distinction.
Okay.
So good morning, ma'am. So here we if we have to go for the distinction category, we have to go with the valid evidences, structured work along with the whatever the references we are taking, and we have to go with the good range of information we are going to add, and we have to evidence all the discussion we are having in the classes, and they should be correctly referenced. These are the few key points we have to keep it in mind if our category should be distinction. Then coming to pass category, it is just the difference is the references what we have observed, ma'am. Less structured and less references we are adding in the pass category. Other than that, everything will be same, and experiences should be in appropriate manner. While we are discussing while we are putting our experiences and learnings, it should be in the appropriate manner. And in the fail category, it is no accuracies and all the misunderstandings in the places. Opinions and views will not be given with the links. No references is given in the fail category.
Okay.
Yes.
Ma'am, can I add something here, ma'am?
Yes, please, you can.
Ma'am, when we say evidence of analysis, it will be better when we analyze what the evidence that we are giving is in the form of the SWOT analysis, which we did in our first class. Will it be very clear if we do it in terms of the SWOT analysis for evidence of analysis?
Ma'am, evidence of analysis, when you're doing it from your unit 2, you will have something called as areas of agreement with your mentor, well-focused areas of agreement. So those will be your SWOT analysis weakness or threats, which you will be analyzing and writing in your evidence of reflection. Okay. Now, when we are talking, is the group completed or anyone would like to present?
Ma'am, I just want to add on to this.
Yes.
Yeah, the candidates like whoever, we should work, the work should be always the well-structured, ma'am, and the range of information sources should be used to inform the analysis and the discussion. The evidence must be correctly referred. Then only we can have the distinction. And both the evidence of the learning and the reflection, when considering with the questions or the issues from the studies, the inquiries and the experience should be interrelated. So if there is an irrelevant with an examples and the concept like evidences, then it will always be fail.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Anyone else from the group? That's it, 3 members, right? So see, when you're talking of analysis and discussion, You are going to start again from developing thinking and practice of your AC2. So when you're thinking, now remember, sometimes you see that it is linking with one theory. Sometimes it may not link with one, or it may link with two or more of the same theory. How you bring about those in your discussion, okay, with the example that you observed in the class, that comes under analysis and discussion. Okay. You will have to, that's why we say that individual learning, you will have to read at least 1 hour per day, so that you will have an idea of different theories that are in the education field, and you can then relate, analyze. I think this has happened in my class because this particular article states this. However, the consequence I found that related to so and so article. Got it? So this both will be in text referenced and also referenced in your references with a clarity. This is how you will have to analyze in your. Remember last time I gave you the 3 MCQs quiz where I told you distinction, you have seen the analysis. Okay. So how roots and values she connected with constructivism, as well as she related with Kolb's. Remember, it was 2 different theories, but for the same example, it was combined. So that is how analysis and discussion must happen. Okay. Yes, the 4th group, communication. Yes, Shamila. Shampa. Yes, Shampa. Sorry. Yeah.
Ma'am, we have to analyze the 4 major theories of learning, like behaviorism, cognitism, constructivism, and humanism. On these 4 theories only, we have to do the analysis, or
No.
any. Okay.
It is open. Initially, you will start with them, but as you go through your units, you will be expanding your understanding.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Those are basic theories. So later you will be moving forward. Yeah. Last group on
Yes, ma'am.
communication and presentation.
Yes, ma'am. It is us.
Yes, Sinduri.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sharing this. Ma'am, to say most of the points you have highlighted what we want to discuss also, like communication plays an important role, like whatever we are understanding, whatever the evidences and all we are gathering and all, it majorly depends on how we present it. So because they are not virtually coming and checking us, or they are not able to understand us visually. So the presentation, what we do is the one that they can understand our vision. So it all depends upon how we communicate with them or how we present our modules to them. So for that, as you said, we have to give justified answers, and like we have to give proper evidences to them to get the distinction or pass. For this, ma'am, for getting a distinction, so we have to be presenting our ideas, arguments, and information in a very well structured and consistent manner. So not just placing all the ideas at one place without any structured way, that we have to make sure that everything, whatever we are presenting, is very much interlinked with each other. And past like in the 3 categories were differentiated: past, presence, ideas, arguments, and discussions in an orderly and general consistent manner, where here in the distinction we will be presenting it in the approach of academical way, where we will be giving the proper to say an appropriate and correct evidences where we are using the theory appropriately in our learning practice. So the example that you have given is, ma'am, in the last class, we have written the evidences, what we are writing. If the evidences are not properly recorded, then it would not lead us to the distinction. It would be rather left us with pass or fail way. So we should be very proper in making the structured format of writing, giving all the evidences what we are going to using in our learning practice.
Yeah.
Yes, next.
Yes, ma'am. I would like to continue and add up the points. I hope I'm audible. So here, when we are talking about communication and presentation, there are three major things that they are considering. One is presenting ideas, arguments, and discussion. What Sundari ma'am have explained. The second part is the professional approach to the presentation with evidence or without evidence of the work. And the third thing is academic convention with attempt to reference appropriately. So actually, like last week, we have done Harvard's referencing system. So that plays a great role in the part of communication and presentation. That is, if we apply our relevant concepts and principles, and when we are able to provide with the proper evidence, then we can come under the category of distinction. And when we are able to, provide the things, but not, we just referred it generally, we just referred it generally and without any evidence or any accepted support, we would be placed under the pass category. And under the pass category, one more thing is we have to academic conventions which need to be followed with attempt to reference, and we basically and they accept the preference from Harvard referencing system only mostly. So I would like to ask Aarti ma'am to continue on this.
Yes, ma'am. My points are that opinions are only given with supporter, with reference of learning. Whatever they are learning, about that, we have to give that, ma'am. And then academic conventions are consistently followed with appropriate referencing.
Aarti ma'am, you're speaking something?
No, ma'am. Not only.
Okay.
Ma'am, I just want to add on, ma'am, to present our vision correctly with proper communication and all, we have to show these skills, ma'am, the structured work, academic conventions, that means Harvard references, support of opinions when we are taking a feedback and all, we are taking proper opinions and all, professional presentation, not just making PPTs like this and doing. We have to be very professional when we are presenting our work, and effective communication of ideas and feedback incorporation. Yes, not just only presenting our ideas that we have done this and we have done this. We have to also include the feedback, what we have taken from our mentors and all.
Okay.
I would like to just end.
Yeah.
So I would like to just end up with the category of third one, that is, the category fail one. So where there is a significant weakness in the preparation of, or if the structure is not properly organized, so then the grades will go down as fail, and also not in a professional way, the presentations, or it is not organized, or if it is not reaching the length of what they were asking, like as you said, the maximum number of the words. So if that is also not reached, then we will be placed under the fail category. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Group 4. Now, before we close this, remember the language proficiency expected for this course by Cambridge is B2. Okay, B2. So many of us have the habit of writing routine English. Okay, that is short forms when we write. Okay, not following the appropriate basic conventions of starting with a capital letter. I represented I when it stands alone, representing it with small letter. Okay, short forms of isn't it, didn't it, all this is not allowed. Do not use complex sentences with complex conjugations. You are supposed to use only simple sentences, meaningful sentences. Okay, do not use, okay, jargons or vocabulary which is very difficult. Okay, use very simple language strategies. Be very clear. Remember, it is not someone's opinion that you're presenting. Your opinions, whatever you feel that you have seen in the classes, must and should be supported with proper theory. Your paraphrasing should be proper. Your quoting should be proper. Remember the academic writing conventions that we said? All that will be taken care in your communication and presentation. When you're writing your article or when you're presenting your portfolio, there should be consistency in ideas. What happens? You start with something that happened in the class. You then jump to the conclusion part of it, what was happening towards the end of the class. Again, go back to the first part of the class. This is not consistency. You have to write it in a flow. Okay, how it has happened in the class. When you're writing itself, like first this happened. So from this, what is your evaluation? What is your analysis, discussion? Then the next part, then your analysis, discussion. So it has to have a sequence when you are writing. If that sequence is absent, that means it is not consistent. So then it goes into the other categories of either pass or fail. So pass and fail, the difference is fail is no consistency, academic conventions are not followed. That is why I said Harvard referencing is very, very important. In text also the referencing must and should be given so that you will have the appropriate communication and presentation happening as per the assessment criteria, right?
Ma'am, I have a question. In fact, when it comes to giving the evidences, do we also have to attach pictures and show them like images?
That comes under artifacts.
Okay, that
in your
comes.
evidence of learning, you will mention that students did the work or the worksheet and represented, or students created a mind map. The mind map evidence will be coming as artifact, where you will be entering as mind map done by students.
Okay, okay.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Fine, thank you,
Mentioning
ma'am.
in words will be there, images and all the others will come as artifacts.
Artifacts, okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, excuse me. If
Yes,
at all
sure.
we have done some activity kind or outdoor activity, because mathematics we can link it with the outdoor activity mostly than mind mapping kind. So how to attach those things like
See, only Cambridge says is if you're taking a photograph, you should take this signed document from the student or the parent regarding showing their faces. So you can take a long shot, don't cover the student's face. You can take a long shot snap of the arti or whatever work you have done or the groundwork, top down photograph, and you can attach it as an artifact.
okay, but it is not mandate that we have to attach it. Like I can no need to show that much proof or
Yes, you will. Unit 1 is about your learning where you will not be attaching any evidences, but unit 2 and unit 3, remember not your work. How your students did the work, that is essential to be attached. Okay. And unit 3, please make it a point to collect your students' feedback. Okay, many a times I repeat this, but I don't see that candidates collecting your students' feedback either as a written this one or a Google form that you have sent, or 5-star rating, RBG rating, anything that you would like to, you can collect that feedback. Okay, or a thumbs up. If it's lower classes, all of them showing thumbs up, that thumbs up you can capture and you can put it as your feedback. Okay. So these are some of the evidences that you will have to submit. Now we have, I have shared you an exemplar. Last week also I've given the same EOL, EOR. Now I would like you to analyze it for the assessment criteria that you have reviewed. So look through, go through all the assessment criteria, these assessment criteria, review the document, see which category do you feel it belongs to. Okay, now that you have done, analyze this and let me know in which category it belongs to. So before that, it's 10:34. We can take a 5 minutes break and come back. 10:39, we will be again starting. Okay. So take a quick 5 minutes break. You can go for cameras off. Yeah. Can have you back. So you can now review the exemplar that is shared with you. Okay. So you will have an idea of how exactly this works. Please don't give the conclusion as distinction, pass or fail. First, let us relate it to the assessment criteria. Okay. Then we will come to the conclusion. Anyone would like to start? Let us look at only EOL first, then EOR we can do it later. First, let us look at EOL alone.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Yes, Chaitanya.
Yes, ma'am. I have gone through EOL, ma'am.
Yeah.
I have observed in that EOL they have mentioned about cognitism, constructivism, like how constructively the children have learned the concept and everything they have mentioned in detail, ma'am. Ma'am, in between I didn't understand one thing from the extract and they have given link in the middle of the evidence, ma'am.
No, avoid that. We generally don't go for it.
Okay, ma'am.
This is they have given it, but need not, because see, your number of words will be very high.
Okay.
Avoid giving links there.
Okay, ma'am. And about they have correlated with the theories, ma'am, like according to the Kolb's theory, and one more theory they have some proximal development theory. To the theories also they have mapped like how in the theory they have correlated what is their experience and related to the theory how they have learned, teachers learners have learned. So, ma'am, and they have mentioned about the evaluation. Once it is done, how the children evaluation is done on so assessment is done. Evidence of learning, they have observed how children have learned by correlating with the theories, and in a flow it is there, ma'am. First learning how it happened, comparison with the theory, and then evaluation. That is what I have understood, ma'am.
Okay. We'll put a hold there, Chaitanya.
Okay, ma'am.
Shampa ma'am, can you just relate exactly to the point that assessment criteria that we have? Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Here we see a sequencing of his learning journey, like when he started his teaching journey, and then in how he went through different theories and upgraded his his teaching methodology, and he gives clear cut instances in classes where he evaluates each situation and analyzes them to come to an outcome. So
Which are the assessment criteria that are followed there?
yes, the first criteria is understanding. So he understands the theory that he has applied here.
Very true. Yes.
Yes, and then how he has practiced it, and how the reflection.
Developing and thinking and practice. Where exactly do you see that, ma'am? Developing thinking and practice.
In the example that he has given in his class.
Yes.
Yes,
Very
regarding the collaborative learning that takes place where he involves a group of learners into coming into the learning of certain aspects, like he has given an example, from geography,
knowing latitudes and longitudes.
knowing latitudes. So how he has seen them working on collaborative practices, and the outcome of it in the form of art or the interest of the student, then he has analyzed it and presented in the form of this paper presentation.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Veena, ma'am.
Ma'am, he's very clearly structured his classroom activities in the form of think, pair, share. He's listed what are all the activities that he has done in the class in order to understand the pattern of the children, and also his what are the activities he's implemented is put very clearly in the one of the paragraphs there, which is also an evidence of his analyzing and planning of for the class.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Ma'am, when it comes to communication, ma'am, he has not used any of the complex sentence, ma'am, and the punctuation is also correct only. And also, he didn't use any of the short forms there. There was consistency in his ideas, ma'am, throughout the writing form. And if you have to talk about the first one, That is, he was able to recall his previous experience, he was able to judge and then critically analyze it, ma'am.
Yes,
Yeah.
very true. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Can you bring out where exactly you found that in the portfolio? Where did you find that? Critiquing and now placing his opinion and then evidencing what he has learned. Where did you find that? Like Shampa ma'am has given one example. Can you give me another?
1 minute, ma'am. I'll just see.
Yeah.
And
So
here it
here's
was given like with
reference.
years of experience. I think this is it.
Ma'am,
Like with years
may
of
I?
exposure and training in teaching and learning, my approach moved towards creating meaningful tasks.
No,
That
is
I,
it a
Yes, yes. Is
Extract
Kushi?
taken, ma'am.
yeah, ma'am. So that's what I think, like where he has reflected it, like his theory, like his experience with reflection here.
Very true, very true. Yes, Manjiri?
Yeah, it's regarding he has written over here. For example, my ninth graders had prepared the protocols to be followed. So over there he has given.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it that part, ma'am? You're talking about the critically.
Yes, there are so many areas where they have given because you can actually link it with all the 4 criterias. You can link it. Okay, so can you just give an example and say that this is what I see as AC1, this is AC2, this is AC3, this is AC4. So everyone will have a clear picture of how exactly that can be developed in their own writing skills.
So, ma'am, can I?
Yes, ma'am.
So there is a line like I also use many brain-based learning techniques that can be linked to lead zone of proximal development.
Zone of proximal development, that is
Zone of
about constructivism, social
Yes.
constructivism.
So here
Yeah.
I can see the analysis there and
Okay.
reiterates that learning happened when the right connections are made. So
Mm.
here the discussion is also there.
Right.
Analysis and discussion. Creating the right learning platform. Here again the presentation came. Creating the right learning platform where the dentries meet the synapses and the right connection is
Synapses,
made.
dendrites meets the
Synapses.
synapses.
Is and the right connections is made in the brain. So here
Okay.
I can see analysis and discussions. Analysis is there.
Very true, very true.
Ma'am, like he has taken up 3-4 theories, ma'am. First, he has taken up Vygotsky theory. So he has spoken about the zone of proximal development. So
Yes.
over there also, ma'am, with the example, he has given the evidence.
Yes.
With the help of the example. The second that, and he has also spoken about his experience. Like over here, you can see, ma'am, each child has some strength. Some are good at references at present and some are good at art. So over here, he has clearly mentioned about the whatever theory he has taken. The second, ma'am, it talks about the Maslow's motivational theory. So over there, he has spoken about the intrinsic motivation. So there are 2 types, intrinsic and extrinsic. He has spoken about the intrinsic motivation and how, in fact, it has, according to experience, like he has written, my own experience as a student with the regard to the assessment has always, 1 second, ma'am, not here. Yeah, an effective teaching procedures include the informing the students of the goal and making them aware of the information relevant to the task. So he has also spoken about the what is exactly the intrinsic motivation which helps the student to perform a better task. That's what I felt through this entire analysis.
Okay.
Ma'am, I would like to.
Is it correct, ma'am?
Yes, yes, it's correct because no, there are a lot of analysis there. We'll come back to it. It's correct,
Yes.
Manjari.
And
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, I would like to just say what exactly I've understood.
Okay.
Yeah, ma'am. Here he clearly mentioned that he's using the Bloom's taxonomy.
Yes,
Yes,
okay.
for the lesson plans and focusing on acquiring and applying the knowledge. And
Yes.
also he mentioned that after exposing to the Cambridge learning, he introduced the teacher to socio-constructivism, specifically of proximal development. And
Yes.
also he's talking about over time, the teacher shifted to creating meaningful tasks where students construct their own learning and leading to better retention.
Yes.
And he also included he began using strategies like think, pair, share, group brainstorming, cooperative learning, which align with brain-based learning. And he also emphasized with intrinsic motivation, setting learning goals, and making concepts relevant to students' life. And he
Yes.
also included Cope's plan, review cycle for the continuous improved teaching methods. So the teacher now regularly reevaluates teaching experience to improve and adapt their practices.
Yes. Okay.
Ma'am,
Yes.
yeah, I would like to add up this point under this assessment criteria 4, that is presenting the idea argument and the citation that he have given with the proper proof. And one more thing, what I observed is he have given his emotion, that which we discussed 2 weeks back, about the emotions when he taught. He have given the point like assessment for learning enables me to continue, and when he found that students were not able to comprehend the differences, so there I think he have explained about his emotion, that he was not the students were not able to get the concept of waterborne disease and other causative factors. So he said there he had paused, and he have reteach using a same case study. So there I think he has shared about his emotion, that he was not unable to reach to all the students. So that point he has stressed. So that shows a proof, yes, that not everything is like easy for him to teach. There he also faced some difficulties, and then he reteached. So that I have seen there.
Ma'am, as Weir and Robert said, assessment for learning enables me to continue or modify or reteach concepts so that no child is left behind. So that will come under the assessment for learning and reflection, ma'am.
Okay. Assessment for learning and reflection.
Assessment for learning.
We have understanding, teaching, and learning.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am.
Thinking
It comes under understanding for learning. And then he said that, for example, when I found that my students were not able to comprehend the difference between waterborne diseases and other causative factors, like mosquitoes breeding leading to diseases that come under the application of theory practice, ma'am.
No, that is what the second one, developing thinking.
Thinking and practice.
Very true. Yes.
Ma'am, I have one point, ma'am.
1 minute. I think she is not completed.
Yes, ma'am.
Mukambika?
Yes, ma'am. Next, he said that now with every lesson, I also make my students reflect and mention what they know, what they can do with assistance, and the areas in which they need complete reteaching.
So you have done, there it is, analysis and
yes, ma'am. Analysis and reasoning.
Yeah, that is analysis and discussion, the third
Yes,
part.
ma'am.
Yes.
Yes.
I think she has given a very good example. Yes, can you understand now? This is the review that I asked. Take an instance in a sequence, all the 4 parts. No, you will have to, all the 4 assessment criteria you will have to see. Okay. Now, if you are able to do that, when you write also, you will be analyzing on the same lines. Okay. Yes, Alicia. Thank you, Mukambika. That was very nice. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. What I have observed is, according to the portfolio, ma'am, for the first one, which is understanding, teaching, and learning, the point they said they were able to use the coordinates to identify the exact location of any place. Their knowledge and understanding helped them apply it to a given situation and resolve it. I guess he has achieved one of the criteria of understanding and teaching.
Understanding the teaching and learning. Yes. Okay.
Then which is AC2, which is assessment criteria 2, developing thinking and practice. I guess he has taken lot of classroom activities like think, pair, and share, and group activities also. Therein he has, added, taken the assessment criteria to which is developing thinking and practice,
And
ma'am.
practice. Okay.
Yes, and which is assessment criteria 3, analysis and discussion. He used different strategies here, and he has given the references for that strategies. It might be in text or the references also.
Yeah, that is communication also. He
Yes,
has
ma'am.
handled
Yes,
it.
ma'am.
Right.
And
Right.
last one, communication and presentation, which is AC4. He has taken lot of theories, concepts, and related to the in-class teaching.
And there was also coherency in his writing. He is consistent.
Yes, yes.
Okay, consistent. That is, he's writing about an instance about latitudes and longitudes, connecting it with the theory, explaining about it, and relating and analyzing and
Yes,
discussing
he
about
he has followed everything, like he has explained about the planning, how he has executed, and what the reflection he has got and all. Everything has put in the portfolio, which satisfy all the criteria, AC 1, 2, 3, 4, which is very good to understand, ma'am. It is
Very
sequenced.
true. Very true. That's good. Okay. Now, I think Parveen has...
Yes, ma'am.
Up to Sinduri, we will do EOL. Okay, the next I would like you to go through EOR. Now I think you've got an idea how to review. Yes. Now look at EOR. Others, I will hear Parveen, Malika and Sinduri for EOL. Yes, Parveen.
Ma'am, if I'm wrong, please correct me, ma'am.
Definitely.
What I have understood from the given EOL is that whatever the teaching learning process is going on in the classroom, we have to produce proper understanding, conceptual understanding to the children, and then we have to
No. It never. Remember, this course is not about students. You're teaching. You're only concerned about how your teaching is impacting.
that is what, ma'am. Yes, that is what, ma'am. So we have to produce enough portfolio with relevant examples, activities, strategies, evaluation process, references, and
theories. Your strategies must be linked with theories.
yeah. So theory comes to practical. So we are showing in our portfolio theories to practical. Theories to practical, how it is going on in the classrooms. And here, ma'am, and also I have understood that we have to follow all the rules like grammatical rules, word limit, word limit, and coming to the part of assessment criteria, ma'am. Obviously, these all will fall into the pace if you are following our teaching learning process effectively, including all the inclusive learners as well. Am I right, ma'am?
Inclusive learners, yes, it will come to, but no, don't go in that order. Whatever theory, remember, it is like, what is the main aim of playing a football game? What is the main aim of playing a football game?
Reach the goal.
To get
reaching the opposite goal post, isn't it? Your ball should reach the opposite goal post. Yes, all your theories are related to reaching that goal post. How you reach that goal post, that is your strategy. Which position, whom you place, how you make them play, all that is your strategy. Okay. Now, how exactly you define, or what are the different, what you can say, the positions or the key positions that you allocate such that you win the game, that is your assessment criteria. You got it? Yes. Your hitting, moving and all that is, no, that is nowhere connected. But your key positions, however you hit, it has to go to that key position. Remember? Then only the person can hit the goal. So that is what is your assessment criteria. Yes, it is a sequence. Remember, if you're not able to understand the teaching and learning, you will not be able to develop your thinking and practice. Isn't it? Next time you do this thinking and practice, you will have analysis and discussion. All these together must be presented in a beautiful piece. For example, all of us here are women, luckily. Okay. Now, all of us do, let us say, routinely we make a dish. Okay. Let's say we make chapati only. Okay. First time when you are doing it, maybe something would have changed. That is your first one, understanding how to make a roti. You put the flame high, you put the flame low. That is your first part. But next time onwards, you will start thinking, isn't it? Why was the rotis like a papad? You will make changes in your composition or your cooking pattern. You make changes that comes with your thinking, right? Then next, what do? You start experimenting. Usme cabbage dale, we put some dhania dale, whatever it is. That is your third part, analysis and discussion. Whether your taste is good, whether your result has come, everyone liked it, that is your analysis and discussion. Finally, how you present it in the platter. You cut vegetables or put or whatever you do, that is your communication and presentation. Got it, ma'am? Parveen, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So this flow you have to remember whenever you're writing. Please understand this. Okay. Yes, Malika.
Yes, ma'am. I want to talk about the assessment criteria on 2, ma'am, developing thinking and practice. So here it's like he used that intrinsic motivation, means he wanted to motivate the learners to create the interest, means via the learning the particular concept. They want to make them think via the learning the particular concept and set the learning goals. And he repeatedly want to reiterate in them what are the goals they have to achieve and what are the teaching procedures which includes to achieve that goal, and make them relevant about the information to achieve that task. That's it, ma'am.
Okay. So how are you relating it to the assessment criteria?
So actually the assessment criteria is about thinking and practice. So here here's trying to motivate, means making the learners to bring interest. That he's making them to think, why are we supposed to learn the particular concept.
Is assessment criteria for students thinking or your thinking?
For us, ma'am.
Your thinking, right?
Yes.
So when will you plan for your intrinsic motivation? When is the candidate, the exemplar candidate, planning for intrinsic motivation?
How can we create interest in the learners? Means how, by what way? What strategy we have to use to make them.
The theory that they have linked is understanding what theory they have linked.
Maslow's theory, ma'am.
Maslow's they have. So you got it now. That is the theory. Next, you have gone into thinking and practice. Okay. Now, how it is developed later on. See, here it will stop maybe till this. Because in your future unit 2, unit 3, you may go in depth of that Maslow's. Okay. Or Dweck's. That is depending. Yeah. Thank you, Malika. Yes, Sinduri? Okay. Okay, she has given a very nice focus on meaningful, consistent knowledge construction, earning students engaged. Here itself you have. Now, when will students engage? Sinduri, go to the first part, no? You have written, you see, a focus, full meaning. That is actually the quote that the candidate has taken, isn't it? Now, my question is, in constructivist learning, Sinduri, you're on mute. Maybe you're trying to speak, but you're on mute.
Sorry, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am. Yes,
In
ma'am.
constructivist learning.
Yes, ma'am.
So which part of the AC it is?
So in constructivist learning, it may be understanding the theory, ma'am.
Understanding, teaching and learning.
Learning,
It is
yes.
AC1.
Yes, ma'am.
Students engage in active cognitive processing.
Yes, ma'am.
Where does that come? It's a theory, but remember it has deeper meaning there when you're saying students engage in active cognitive processing.
Okay, that is during the practice, ma'am.
That is during thinking.
Thinking, that's what.
See, when your students will be engaged, if they are not thinking, they will not be engaged.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So students are engaged in active cognition itself means thinking is happening.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes,
Such
ma'am.
as paying attention to relevant incoming information, mentally organizing into coherent representation, integrating incoming information to existing. So when will you know that they have integrated? Now, this is a theory that you have presented. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So here they are actually saying that based on the learning experiences, students will be having an engagement and they will be relating it with whatever prior knowledge they have. Go down, let me see.
So that is like I'm showing that she has organized with an example what she has done with the practice, ma'am.
Okay. Developing prepared protocols followed. This is an activity.
Yes, ma'am. So that means that, she has given a theory first and she has implemented that theory as a practice in the class.
I don't know. I'm not getting the connection here. I'm sorry. I'm not getting the connection here. And this is taken from different parts, I think so. Different parts you've taken from.
Yes,
That's why
ma'am.
that connection, no, that way it will not work. That way it will not work.
Okay,
I'm not able to get the connection. Just a minute. I'll show you the part so that you will understand. See, for example, this is the theory part of it. Can you see here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Now, this theory in this Bloom's taxonomy, he has written what is his teaching practice also.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Here is the analysis. Can you see, with years of exposure teaching, I moved on to create meaningful tasks, whereby the right environment began to construct their learning and found that retention was far more. If you're not analyzing, how will you come to that conclusion? Isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
How did that happen? This corresponds to research by Mayer. Again, they brought back a theory. The candidate has brought back a theory stating that based on this, I found that meaningful learning will help in knowledge construction.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, how did it help me? The candidate says in constructivist approach, the students engage in paying attention, retaining information, etc. So where exactly has it happened? This is the theory. Relating it to practice, knowledge of latitudes and longitudes, they were able to do it in the world map.
Yes.
Now again, your analysis and discussion, they were able to.
Yes, ma'am.
Got it?
Yes, ma'am. Got it.
Okay. It is going about the same idea about constructivist theory.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
it's also including Bloom's taxonomy. How exactly he has increased the level of the thought process of the students and how indirectly his thought process also changed.
Sure, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Now
what
got the
about
sequence, ma'am.
Ma'am, I have a question. What about the communication in the presentation? Can you just show over here, ma'am? Where exactly is the presenting the entire thought? I'm not
Entire thought. That is why I said you have to have a journal entry, because there you will be putting it as random, your thoughts. Okay. In order to weave it as a sequence, now this how it's presented. Can you see that? Here the mention is there. Okay.
Okay.
Now here the mention is there, but remember year has to be written. That is not written. Okay. This is actually a pass assignment. Okay. Though there is analysis, everything, because year is not mentioned. Mayor. Then similarly, Cambridge learning, Lev Vygotsky's zone of proximal development. Can you see?
Yes, ma'am.
Similarly, your quotes. Can you see the quotes written here?
With years of exposure, yes.
With years of exposure. No, not that. Somewhere it has to start. I'm not able to see. Here it is. This is better. Can you see here? Learning.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So this quotes is very important. Okay. When you are taking quotes directly from the author. Otherwise, it's not required. You can paraphrase it.
Yes, ma'am. But one part I didn't understand over here, ma'am. He mentioned about Maslow's intrinsic motivation. But where is the practice over there? I didn't find the practice.
That will come to. It's not practice. There only it is about learning.
Okay, it's
So be
learning.
about learning. In reflection, you will be reflecting. That's why I said take EOR, because you will have practice as well as your reflection there.
Okay, 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 ma'am.
Yes, anyone could like to present the EOR in the same way? Yes, Kushi, I'm sorry, I missed it.
Ma'am,
Yes,
page
Kushi.
numbers and volumes are also not mentioned there. Page numbers.
It doesn't have volume, that means.
Okay.
It's not mandatory. See, page numbers, last time I told you it's not mandatory. Volumes, if volumes are there, it should be mentioned, otherwise not required. Edition also you will not have for every book.
And even the quotes are also long quotes, ma'am. What I felt like it's not that much
Yes,
short.
it's not a
quotes.
short quote.
Short quote. But we are preferred for short quotes. Like.
Yes. Now for EOR, can you look and tell based on the assessment criteria?
Ma'am, I'll just try. I'm not very sure whether that's
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Ma'am, where the first paragraph, what I was going through, ma'am, such observation can be immensely valuable. It is talking about the peer teaching, I think. So observing experienced teachers. And there it has been mentioned, stimulate your own ideas about your teaching, Chris Kyrie Cow, 2007. So that was a theory, what I felt. And after observation of the experienced teacher, he is relating it with its own practice. I have realized that the key features of an effective lesson are to have clear objectives and outcomes, to understand the concept, skill, attitudes, and values, and learner needs to develop at the end of the lesson. So these have to be clearly articulated and specified before the starting of the lesson. Then again, in the next paragraph, he has mentioned his learning from that experience, where he has connected with, this has given me clarity that students have to be led from known to unknown. So that is something where he could understand based on the theory, and he has connected with his own teaching. And now with each unit, I test the students' prior knowledge, which he has gained that knowledge from. So this, I think, so the connection can be done with that assessment. I'm not very sure, but assessment criteria 2, developing thinking and practice, where evidences effective practice with a well-focused understanding of relevant theories and principles underlying practice in teaching and applied to their own practice.
Yes, apply to their own practice is actually with developing thinking, and actually it comes under analysis also.
Okay,
because he is relating the experienced teacher's class
to
the different practices that has happened. Yes, in the class.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Anyone else would like to try?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, here from last paragraph, when designing a learning experience course or program, it is important that there is good benefit, the learning outcomes, assessments, and teaching, and learning activities, in other words. And here are the three components. From the observation of the experienced teacher, I have gained knowledge about planning meaningful activities, individually, paid, and in groups. All active learning strategies of think, pair, share, mind mapping, and usage of guided imagery made learning more meaningful for the learning and sustained their interest in the lesson. This comes under the understanding, teaching, and learning, and how we can plan our learning activities.
Yes. Post the observation, the experienced teacher. Can you see how analysis is done?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. That
Post
is
the observation of the experienced teacher, I now use active learning strategies in my classes and find a remarkable change in the learning patterns of my students. That's what comes under the assessment criteria 3, analysis.
It comes in the both because they're thinking. Remember, without thinking, this cannot
Yes.
happen, right? So
Developing thinking practice is made and analysis
and
is done.
discussion.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Ma-
now, all above my learning so far helped me to transfer into a reflective practitioner.
Yes. So again, here you can see the analysis, self-analysis being done.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah.
Ma'am, here all active learning strategies of think, pair, share, mind mapping, and usage of guided imagery made learning more meaningful for the learners and sustain their interest in the lesson. That will come under analysis, ma'am. Assessment.
No, that comes under
Develop
understanding, teaching, and learning.
Okay.
It's about different strategies, isn't it?
Okay, ma'am.
Being used in the class.
Okay,
Okay.
ma'am.
Anyone has any doubt in how exactly you have to review your own writing? Because remember, it's going to be your self-analysis of your portfolio first. Okay. Okay. I found their retention in such learning was far more, ma'am. It is if the candidate is reflecting on their teaching, it becomes assessment criteria too. My own experience as student, that is under analysis and discussion. Right. I think all of you are clear now, right? So when you're writing also, please do it under all these assessment criteria to have a clear picture of how exactly your analysis and evaluation has to happen. Okay. So next week onwards, when you're writing, please do look at each learning outcome that you're writing also, key questions also, answer in this. I'm not saying all the 4 should fit in because learning all the 4 may not fit in, especially in your unit 1. But you can try to maximum look till your understanding about the theory and bringing in analysis and discussion. Okay. That can be done.
Ma'am, can you give us one assignment like this, ma'am, where we can just...
That is why I asked you to do your peer observation.
We have done, but we didn't do it in this manner because
No,
yes.
see that's what I told. No, you can be wrong also in your peer observation. I didn't say. See, when you did it last time, now you are able to recall these are the areas you should correct. If you have not done it last week, will you be able to recall and say that no, I did not do these areas correctly?
No.
So that is the reason. Now we will be looking at peer observation, how exactly to do a reflective writing before stepping into your experienced teacher's class. Okay. Yeah. So peer observation, last time you would have done, what did you observe? Now, if you can make small modifications in one particular area that you have written, what you observe, I would not ask you to connect it with theory because we have not stepped into theory. Okay. Look at how you can analyze and discuss with whatever you know. Don't extend it to theory because we have not stepped into it. Okay. Once we step into, that is from next week onwards, yes, we will be connecting it with various theories, everything. Okay. Try it out with whatever you have observed, whatever you know. Okay. From your peer observation last class, what did you observe? What went well? Why did you feel it went well? And know what connection you can make with theory. Make one reference. I'm not asking more than one reference. Just write it. And 1 or 2 we will share so that all of you can have a discussion based on the assessment criteria. I'm not asking chat box because sometimes it may exceed the word limit and we'll not be able to read. So we can have a sharing and no, you can share the Word document. Try only with 50 words. 50 words, 1 reference. I'm not asking you to do all the 4 assessment criteria also. Whatever you can, you connect it.
And this is only about peer observation, what you learned, what you observed. Like
Yes.
one short point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we post it in the group, ma'am?
You can share it and we can have a discussion.
Okay.
So I would like to share, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Can you see this?
Yeah, I can see.
I've just made precise points, just a few points, ma'am. In my
Yeah.
peer observation, I have observed the teacher effectively engaging the students through interactive questioning and clear instructions. I've noted the seamless transition between the activities and the use of visual aids. She was actually holding the chart and clearly explaining that.
That must be mentioned there,
Yeah.
remember? You will have to write, as I observed that the teacher was holding the chart for the a clear visual representation. She had, then how did you know that seamless transition took place?
Okay. Because I'm there, I'm present there. So I'm clearly seeing the difference there,
No,
activities.
you will have to see, remember, examiner knows you are there. But how do you see when you're connecting? This is what they said, that your opinion, when your opinion is presented, that I have noted seamless transition. How did you observe? That is your analysis. Because I observed so and so from this topic to this topic happening in this way between activities. Okay. And the visual aid was held by the teacher,
Holding
moving
the
around
chart.
in the classroom and okay, to be clearly visually seen by the students. So hence I know that visual aids was used and the students responding to the answers gave me the idea that there was a reinforcement of concepts. You got it?
Sure. Yes, ma'am. I got it.
Yes.
I'll add extra line. But the key observations include the teacher's ability to maintain student interest and the
Yeah.
structured flow of the lesson.
Now you understood your key observation is already evidence on the top.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. That is what is meant by evidence of learning, what you have learned.
Yes.
Okay. And you're reflecting.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
May I, ma'am? But I'm not very sure, ma'am.
Okay. No issues.
I'll
Share it.
Yeah. 1 second. Ma'am, over here, so the teacher explained the chromosome concepts using the diagrams on the board. So the students were engrossed while the teacher was explaining. And through the prompt question, the students analyzed chromosome structure and explored blood types. And the teacher then clarified the blood types by demonstrating a dominant blood group, enhancing their understanding of genetic inheritance and chromosome function. So this is what is my...
This is your what observation?
Yes, ma'am. This is my observation.
Yeah. The what part of it? You're elaborating on what happened in the class.
Okay, so this is going to be the what part of the observation.
Yes.
Okay.
Next,
Okay.
you have to write, why do you think this is impactful? Or why do you think this is effective?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, understood. So, ma'am, this enhancing the teacher then clarify. Okay, understood. So, how come like how was it very effective? So that last conclusion
Why
will
do
be...
no, each part you will have to see when your teacher was explaining, why do you think the students were engrossed in the teacher's explanation?
Okay.
What was that was making them listen to the teacher?
Okay.
Okay. So was there some interaction that was happening during that point which made the students focus? When you're saying prompt questions, was it in between the lesson or was it after the lesson?
In between the lessons. So those, okay. So that also okay.
Yes. See, all these are the connections that you're making towards learning.
Okay, understood.
And how do you know that the students were learning? When the teacher was asking the prompt questions, how did they respond? Did they only respond stating one word answer, or was there deep thinking when they were answering? Okay, were they going back, reflecting and telling the teacher, this is how I connected? So when all these aspects you bring in your explanation, then you will be actually analyzing, discussing. Now you can bring in your theory also into it.
Okay, understood. Understood, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, can I share, ma'am?
Yes, please.
One second. So, ma'am, in my observation, I have observed that the teacher has tested the prior knowledge of the students through an activity which connected their previous learning. The activity was KWL, where, what they know, what they would want to know, and what they have learned, which they will do it later. And then how were they engaged? They were engaged during this activity, and it was very interesting for them as they had some knowledge on the particular topic already. And why this activity was important? Because the teacher could also group the students based on the level of the knowledge on the topic that she'll be teaching. So she can also do some sort of differentiation, which I felt.
Yes, the flow is correct, ma'am, because you have connected with the only thing is theories, you will have to add it up.
Okay,
Theories, because you're saying that the teacher tested the prior knowledge. So that itself is a theory. Why testing of prior knowledge is important. So you will have to add that theory as per so and so. When we do the prior knowledge check, students becomes more focused on the learning. So using a KWL chart, the teacher connected to the previous learning. And because of this, she was able to make the students engage in the activity. That connection you got. Can you see that step-by-step connection happening?
Yes, ma'am.
So that engagement also you will have to bring in with the theory.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Got it?
Thank you, ma'am.
Others are able to understand how the connections are brought? Yes? Yeah. So we'll take another short break. Now it's 11:35, 11:40 we'll come back and we will start actually. Now the next activity is on LOA, but we are not starting LOA. Before starting LOA, two major concepts we would like I would like you to know, that is what is meant by behavior of learning, and second one is about metacognition. Both are Cambridge briefs. Okay. So we will be going through it and understanding about behavior of learning, what are the needs for behavior of learning and how metacognition happens. So 11:41 we will be meeting. Yeah. Mokamika, you have any questions? You are on mute.
Ma'am, I have one question, ma'am. I wrote the peer observation.
Yeah.
Just I want to tell to you, ma'am, whether it is correct or not. Please check now, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, just what I wrote is, I observed teacher engaging the students very effectively by showing audio visuals related to genetic engineering. Clear explanation about the video by the teacher made the learners to focus effectively in the class. Students are actively participating in the debate conducted by the teacher as they have.
Now my question here, Chaitanya, sorry, because I will forget. That is the reason I'm asking you. How did you know that the clear explanation allowed students to focus in the class?
Because, ma'am, at every step, she is pausing the video. Each and every term, ma'am is just asking the students what they understood about the, like picture is also there, no, ma'am.
That has to be written. That has to be written. The
Okay,
video was paused at regular intervals
Okay.
and the teacher interacted with the students. That part must be written. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Mokambika, you're sharing the entire screen.
Ma'am, I just want, even I have done the work.
Okay, just share it.
Even me too, ma'am, please.
Yeah. Sharmila, I'll look into yours also. Don't worry. Okay. Yeah. Chaitanya, you can take a break. I think now we have got the point, right?
Yes, ma'am, I understood, ma'am.
Can you see mine?
Yeah, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing
I
it.
observed my peer class on squaring the number. That is
Just a minute. I'm just reading halfway through it. Hands-on experience to find the square of numbers. I didn't get the first part. During observation, my peer class, I observed students involved in hands-on experience finding the square. My peer tested the prior knowledge. Prior knowledge should come first, isn't it?
sorry. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yeah.
How was the prior knowledge checked? That is not mentioned here.
Okay, fine, ma'am. She checked by orally asking, and students worked out and gave the answers. Just a multiplication.
Okay, by oral questioning.
Oral questions.
Okay.
So that to be mentioned, right, ma'am? The ways how.
Yes, it has to be.
Okay, fine. So here I have given the quote on hands-on.
I didn't understand this quote actually. How is it relevant to your hands-on learning?
You cannot help but learn more as you take the world in your hands. Take it up reverently, old piece of day with millions of thumbprints on it. So I thought giving a thumbprints is something like related to hands-on experience.
Is this taken from any research paper or anything? Is
No.
it then? I remember I told you quotes are not allowed.
Right.
Validated research quotes are only allowed. That is what is found from the research article. Those are only allowed.
Okay, fine. So then I have mentioned here about what is how the activity needs to
Now
be.
here, 1 minute. Your hands-on activity, you will have to explain what was that hands-on experience and why do you think that is effective? Remember, everywhere the strategy that you use, you will have to write why do you think that is effective?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, active learning strategies, that is fine. But again, here you have to link it with active learning.
Okay. How they did like that, something we have to mention, ma'am?
No. The theory, active learning is a theory, isn't it? Connecting it to it, you will have to mention.
Okay.
In case the students were led from remembering the square of a number, I didn't get that.
So generally, the square of the number can be kept as a remembering in if we consider the Bloom's taxon. They have to remember it. So,
Okay.
if I'm asking 9 square, it's like by hearted things. 9 square is.
Yes.
But here in this activity, I found that she uses square paper just to find out the square rather than multiplication. 9 square.
Okay, then that needs to be specified there. I didn't understand that part. Students were led from remembering the square.
All right, fine. I'll mention it detailedly.
Yeah, you can write it as the students were led from the rote learning of squares of numbers, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am. Right.
Yeah. To a creative level. Okay, for larger digits, then she went into the multiplication. So actually, she had given a conceptual clarity there and then extended the conceptual clarity into mathematical learning. That has to be mentioned there. Huh? Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, Sharmi. Yes.
Yeah.
Mokambika, yours is ready?
Ma'am, I can share, ma'am.
1 minute. She actually, Shravanti has shared already. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Ma'am, she has
Mokambika,
asked.
here's yours, okay, because after yours, we'll go to the activity.
Yeah. Ma'am, actually, she has asked, like, letter N introduction I have joined with my PR observation. Like, she has asked some oral questions on letter M and then she has switched into the letter N. So, she's.
Which class is it? Which class?
It's letter N introduction, ma'am, for
Which class, age group?
in literacy for PP1, ma'am.
PP1. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So the lesson began with an introduction of letter M. She has asked the prior knowledge, like a recap of M, sound and everything, and then she has switched.
That has to be mentioned. That's why I asked which class.
Yeah.
Started with the sound, or you can start with the rhyme related to the sound. Okay, that has to be there.
Yeah. She began with the introduction of N with the aids like flashcards and the pictures and the letters. And immediately I mean, really, the children are very enthusiastic to look into the flashcards and the pictures and name them, which they are aware of.
Why?
Because visually they were very attractive and
that has to be put there. That has
Okay.
to be put there. Okay.
Yeah. And then not only she has displayed the letters, but also associated like pictures, but are not using catchy sounds, song like phonic song. She has sang, which really approached the children very good. They have sang along with her repeatedly, and they were very excited. And this made
Now you have to bring in the word because they were involved in the singing, where they engaged.
Multi-sensory learners, like where cognitive, visual, and kinesthetic, like all she has captured their learning skills, like who are strong with their own learning. She has, gathered all the learners.
Shravanti teacher would have done it very nicely. I'm not against that, Shravanti. It is about how you write.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. The teacher would have done it. I'm not saying no to it. But how do you present her work?
Okay.
So you will have to say, because it was the songs that were sung, the students were involved, engaged, and multisensory learning I could see happening in the class related to a theory. Understood?
Yeah.
See, remember, Cambridge is not going to say that that teacher did not do well. But how you write about the teacher is what Cambridge is going to analyze. Okay? Yeah.
Yeah. And the teacher's pacing was very appropriate, allowing the time for the students to observe the information and participate
Now
in
here again, how do you know the pacing was appropriate?
So she was very calm, ma'am. She was asking each and every one. She was concentrating on the children, like who were not giving.
Your words is pacing. What is meant by pacing?
I mean, she's not hurry up in her to finish her concept, ma'am. She was very slow. She was,
how do you know? Again, I'm asking, how do you know the pacing was correct?
Ma'am, at that age, 4 years of children she was handling, right? That she was.
Again, you're going back to the teacher, Shravanti. I'm convinced. Okay, see, small teachers, they will be pacing it right. How will you present that the teacher is pacing correctly?
When she was making each and every child pay their attention, and then she's going.
That do you call it as pacing? You said correctly, the concept was delivered in equal intervals, right?
Yes,
so how
ma'am.
did she pace her lesson?
Can we say that she went from simple concepts to complex
Yes, that can be one way of pacing. Yes.
Or from known to unknown?
Known to unknown. That already she has written, but she is saying here pacing, allowing to students to absorb information and participate in the activities. So how did she pace her class? what was the time strategy that she had used so that she could see that every child is absorbing the information and participating in the activities.
Students have given enough time to speak.
That is one. Very good. That's one strategy. Yes.
Asking questions, ma'am, prompt in between.
Asking questions. Yes. Okay.
Checking the understanding.
Then they were given some individual activities to
individual activities. So she was actually observing and making students who were not repeating after her or reciting after her to again repeat, taking the time with the students and seeing that every action or every sound that was given or every word that was given was emphasized for each and every child. That must come there.
Yeah, ma'am. The use of repetition helped the reinforcement learning. The teacher made sure that check the understanding by asking the questions and prompting the students to think and the other words that starts.
I'm not saying no to it, Shravanti. My question is, when you're writing teacher spacing was appropriate, then you will have to put that teacher spacing was appropriate because she used repetition, which helped reinforce learning. And then you say allowing time for students to absorb information. Your consistency has to come, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm stopping here. Mukambika, can you just quickly share? Yeah, Mukambika. Can you share? Others, can you start reading behavior of learning? Behavior of learning. I'll put the different levels that you have to, or the different areas that you have to check in the chat box. Please check on these. The school environment for learning, the established relationships that facilitate learning, and how can one use it in different levels. Mukambika, you will have to enlarge. Increase the size, no, down there will be an arrow. Just zoom it, down, on the cursor bar. Can you see that? Plus and minus is given. It's showing 1 to 100%. Increase it to the plus sign. Can you see? Here. My God. Can you see? I have marked it in blue color. Mukambika, maybe you're on mute. Yeah, you're on mute. Yeah. Can you now see? I have drawn it here. Can you now see?
No, ma'am.
I am marking.
Scroll down, Mukambika. It's marked. Sudha ma'am just marked it. See? On your Word document only.
Yes, ma'am. I'm not able to see it.
Okay, just increase the size, no? It is in 11. Highlight
Okay,
the text and
yeah,
increase the size.
Increase it to 13 or 14.
No,
Area 11, it is your document.
yeah. Select everything and then this.
Do Control A. Now you go to area 11. Yes, perfect.
Okay, fine.
Thanks, dear.
Ma'am, in my peer observation, I observed that teacher created the curiosity in the learners that they are going to a place and has taken the students to explore the school
What
garden.
is that place? Please specify, yeah?
School garden, ma'am.
You can
Explore the
directly write
school
they were
garden.
going to the school garden to explore and observe plants. Remember, your words are like money, yeah? Currency. Use it very cautiously. Otherwise, you
Yes.
won't have words later.
The learners were excited about natural environment and stimulate multiple sense sight, smell and touch, which enhanced their learning and retention.
Yes.
The visit for the garden provides a dynamic way to explore science.
Provided. See one thing.
Oh, yeah, yes, ma'am.
This is for all of you. When you're writing in your past tense, please do continue in your past tense. Your tenses are very important. Okay? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
The visit for the garden provided a dynamic way to explore science, responsibility, and the environment, which might have sparked,
No, might have.
Yes,
Are
ma'am.
you doubtful? Remember, these will be some of the questions that you will get. Never put anything in a doubtful. Might have done, may have happened. No.
Which have sparked
interest and
interest and
excitement.
excitement among the students.
Very nicely written. Very nicely written. Yeah.
Directly, the learners examined the plants and the environment.
Yeah.
The learners were involved and interested in examining different plant parts. Real-world application kept the learners engaged.
Very nice. Very nice, Mukambika. Only thing you have to connect it with your theory. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Overall interactive lesson promotes active participation of the learners.
Very nice. Very nice. Others also, can you see? She has written it very nicely. Only thing is she has to connect it with the theories. That's it.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So behavior of learning, can you start reading?
Ma'am, I got the first point, ma'am. The school environment for learning, ma'am. Behavior for learning.
You can start.
Yes, ma'am. So in that we have something where they are talking about maintaining a positive relationship with self and teacher, ma'am. That's very important. And also in fostering and maintaining and in importantly, a focus on relationship requires the teachers to attempt to understand how the individual learning is experiencing and interpreting the learning environment and the meaning or purpose their behavior has for them. And especially the example that has been given is a type of positive feedback many learners welcome, which may be interpreted as a negative experience by an alongside adaptation. So that is one point, and monitoring and evaluation is also the other one, ma'am.
Okay. So what are the different relationships that we are talking about?
Relationship with curriculum.
Relationship with curriculum. Okay.
Relationship with self.
Relationship with self. Okay.
Relationship with others.
Relationship with others. Okay. So how does it affect your learning behavior? How these relationships that are in school affect your the behavior of learning?
Ma'am, it
promotes
increases
readiness
the
to learning.
self-esteem.
It's self-esteem. Okay. Yes. Someone told readiness to learn.
Yes, ma'am. It promotes readiness to learning.
Okay. How does it promote readiness to learn?
When you're comfortable with self, you do not have this inhibition that if I ask questions, what are other people going to think about? And that is one thing where you're comfortable with whatever you ask and you don't feel that others will judge you.
Very true. Yes.
And when we say it is both, comfort with self and others, then comfort with curriculum. The children should know it is okay for them not to know certain things.
Yes.
Then they are comfortable with it.
Yes.
Very true. Now remember COVID? The relationship with curriculum totally broke. Yes. Relationship with others broke. So what happened? A learning gap came in between, which we are even today struggling to fill. Okay. Even today we are struggling to see that is overcome. Okay. So that is actually the core concept of behavior of learning. So what are the established relationships that actually facilitate learning? What are the established relationships that facilitate learning?
Ma'am, teacher-student relationship, ma'am?
Yes, that definitely establishes or build learning.
And also the peer, ma'am,
Teach-
between the
yes.
peers.
Between the
Teacher and
peers,
the other
yes.
co-teacher.
Yes, they have given it. Can you see the 3 behavior for learning relationships?
Yes, ma'am. With the peer and self, and also with the curriculum.
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 So see how they have given what aspects of curriculum are actually we talking about when we are looking at relationships. What aspects? Can you see they've given very important 3 things.
Positive day-to-day use.
No, it is about the learner's ability to tackle the task. First one, when will they tackle the task? When will the learner have the ability to tackle the task?
Yes, yes, yes.
Can you see? I'm
Ma'am, if
marking
they
it.
are confident about themselves.
If they're confident about themselves, okay. Okay, I'll reframe the question. When are they confident about themselves?
When the teacher is very approachable, like it's okay making mistakes, she should
Okay.
give an environment.
Yes, that
where-
is one, right?
Ma'am, when we keep them motivated.
When we keep them motivated. Ma'am, we are talking about curricular aspects,
Okay.
not about the teacher or the others.
Okay.
The curricular aspects, when will they have the ability to tackle a task in the curricular level?
When it is an active learning, ma'am, when the child.
When the teach.
When they understood the concept.
Share positive feedback, no?
Share positive
teacher
feedback.
gives-
That is after the task.
When
See,
the
you
teacher
give a
gives
task.
ample
Okay.
opportunities, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
When the teacher gives ample opportunities to the students.
Ample opportunities. Okay. Now, for example, I think it was Sharmila who said about the square of numbers.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So she had actually said hands-on experience. Now I've given a group activity, say to 4 groups, asking them to find squares of 4, 6, and 9. When will they do that activity?
When they
When
have
will
the
they?
prior knowledge.
Very good. When they have the prior knowledge about
The
task.
subject.
Whatever task you're given, the students must have that ability to connect with what they have learned previously. Then all the others, asking questions, confident, building relationship or having subject knowledge, presenting themselves, all that will come. Next is how they organize themselves when a task is given. Okay, first things first, how they set themselves for the task and they are learning. Third one is their motivation for the task. What is that? Most of you have given the word for it. Their motivation for the task. What is it? What is their motivation for the task?
Feedback, ma'am.
Their interest towards the task.
Okay, when will they get their interest? That is the motivation.
Maybe reward, ma'am. Reward. Ma'am, when they get
Reward.
accomplished for the task that they are doing.
Ma'am,
Feedback,
Manjari,
ma'am.
1 minute. Manjari, ma'am, you told about reward. What
Yes,
type
ma'am.
of motivation is that?
Ma'am, it can be intrinsic motivation or it can be extrinsic motivation. So it
Right.
depends.
Now it is their motivation, my
Yes.
motivation. What does it come under?
In the intrinsic motivation.
Intrinsic motivation.
Motivation.
So when is a student intrinsically motivated?
When when the reward is given, like, you know,
when we
extrinsic
appreciate, ma'am.
motivation, like
Ma'am, intrinsic, again you're saying the rewards doesn't come under intrinsic. If you're
Extrinsic.
giving rewards, comes under extrinsic.
Extrinsic.
So
The
when
learner's own interest to know the subject. When you show
When
some
they are when they are connected to the subject.
know the unknown, that is where intrinsically they are motivated to know the concept.
Ma'am, actually intrinsic, what I feel is dependent upon the, it's sometimes depending upon the extrinsic. Like suppose I give a reward to the child.
So that becomes the reward, becomes the extrinsic. There's some motivating factor. So that
we'll come to that, ma'am. We'll come to that extrinsic and intrinsic motivation in our further sessions. Okay.
Okay.
LOA itself will be covering it. That
Okay.
time we'll deal in detail.
Okay.
Yes, Mukambika, I don't know. Today she's giving all the correct answers. Okay.
Self-motivation.
Curiosity is the
Yes,
first
ma'am.
and foremost aspect which actually helps in bringing intrinsic motivation. Remember, kids are curious people. Okay. They're always curious about everything. Yes, they have seen, right? Perceive value, purpose of the task. Very good. Level of challenge, engagement, sense of control and autonomy. That is a very beautiful word, ma'am. Thank you very much. Feedback and recognition. Yes. Self-efficacy and confidence, emotional state and well-being, social influence and support. All these are very, very important aspects. Out of that, I would consider sense of control and autonomy to be the most important. Otherwise, no, we don't have students who are helping us in carrying books, maintaining class discipline, because that gives them the sense of control and recognition, right? Then last question. How can we, first of all, I would like someone to tell me what are the different levels that we are talking here about? What are the different
Extended
levels
core
of
and
learning?
Extended
day-to-day.
level, core,
Extended core and day-to-day.
So how is it involved in our classroom practices? How is this extended day core and day-to-day involved in our classroom
So
practices?
extended is
Focusing
focusing on
on
strengthening one or more of the three relationships,
Okay.
where core is identifying the specific learning behaviors to develop the child according to them. And then day-to-day is through general teaching and the approach of the behavior, like enhance the three relationships like what we have, and then encourage the development of the positive learning behaviors is day-to-day. Like the child, like each one, every day, whatever we do, we take the positive feedback from the learners and their behaviors, and where they have, where really we need to encourage them, what are the weakness to identify and then work out on it. Is the day to day, like every day in the class, in our lesson plan, like whatever is the reflection, like what we do in our day to day lesson plan. Whereas core is like identifying one or the three learning behaviors. It doesn't mean that all the three we need to cover, man. Like individual needs to develop and exhibit more frequently. So identifying the standard of practice or any additional or different strategies we need to approach them to make it in a positive way is the core, like core use. And where it is when it comes to an extended use, so we have to identify the relationship area, like curriculum with the curriculum and the others and the three criteria that the individual needs to develop.
Okay.
So where exactly we need to and identify a cluster of learning behaviors, like any specific behavior they have. We need to concentrate on it. So we need to, we need to focus on this extended use.
Okay. Now my question here will be, you have now you have understood where exactly the levels are and how exactly to use it. My question is, how will you identify that specific one or more areas that you have to go understand, isn't it, in the behavior of learning?
Yes.
How will you identify? Yes,
And
Alicia.
every day, day-to-day life, like when we are
Just a minute, Shravanti. I'm asking Alicia. Your chances to. Okay. Yes, Alicia.
Yes, ma'am. We can identify, especially through day-to-day kind of thing, ma'am, because we'll be posing the questions. Generally, we'll be meeting this learners day-to-day. So by posing the questions, sharing the feedback or taking the feedback and how they are emotionally involved, socially involved, we can take that points into consideration and we can actually put them into one or the other level according to their, involvement, I guess, ma'am.
Okay.
So
Okay.
from there on, we can, we can actually motivate them. As we all said, we can ensure various practices, whether
Okay.
day-to-day improvement is needed or core, as ma'am said, whether we have to involve only one or three.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes, some Sindhuri, I think I saw your hand up.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I thought of telling the same, like by the day-to-day feedback and also observation, ma'am, class observations or behavioral observations and giving the peer feedback about them.
Yes.
And also like regular monitoring and evaluation about their performances.
Mm-hmm. So do you, yes, ma'am, Shampa ma'am, you finished, then I'll ask this question.
Ma'am, actually, I don't know whether my analysis is correct or not with a specific example. Like I saw an observation of a teacher, science teacher, teaching them law of inertia, Newton's first law of motion. So there the students were taught like a body continues to be in rest or in motion, that part.
Unless until acted upon by
Yes, by an external force to act otherwise. So, like in that, the teacher showed some hands-on learning, like the book kept on a table will stay at rest until we disturb it and all. So students understood the concept, and then when they went out for the lunch break, they started applying it on themselves. Like a student standing and then the other one pushing, the other one not knowing, getting pushed and everything. So then the next thing came about mass and force. So that was the day to day learning which went to the core of the theory, and then they extended that into force, mass, and how the body changes its motion, then the law of friction and everything. So can we say that it is an
Yes.
everyday and
Yes,
core and extended?
that is actually the curricular relationship extension of behavior of learning.
And then they went back to the teacher to clarify how this is happening, because like that is a relationship between the teacher and the student, and the environment of the school which like satisfies and makes the student comfortable to come back and ask after they have applied.
Now that is your second part.
Yes.
Your social relationship.
Social.
That is between the teacher and the student and his peers. So
And
that comes under the social relationship.
And also like it includes the behavior of self, the self
Yes.
motivation, the intrinsic motivation with which the student went and applied it and came back again. That
Yes,
was
there you can see what Tehseen ma'am has given, no?
Yes.
Interest and relevance to the task. You can see perceived value and purpose to the task. You can see level of challenge and engagement, then sense of control and autonomy. So almost everything is coming under that. And as they are doing it, they feel that happiness or emotion, very high emotion, positive emotion. So that gave them the right to go and ask for feedback, and then their work was recognized. So can you see it's a loop? So it starts from your day-to-day work, and then it moves into a core value that you are trying to develop, which gets extended. Okay, which can be extended further into cross-curricular approach also. Yes. Relationship, self, other, and curricular. Yes, ma'am, Veena ma'am, that's true. Now, the second one is, now that you have understood about behavior of learning, now I would like you to just go through the metacognition part of it, because next week we'll not be having time to know what metacognition is. Brief on metacognition. Identify its difference. Metacognition, the difference between cognition and metacognition. Why is metacognition important in classrooms? How to accept varying levels of metacognition in classrooms, misconceptions and advantages of metacognition in classrooms. I'm just sharing here. Metacognition. It's an education brief, so you have a lot of education briefs also given by Cambridge. You can use these also as your references.
Ma'am, Sudha ma'am, in that document, ma'am, metacognition, we don't have much about it, ma'am. So do we have to refer to some other document, ma'am?
No, now this, next week we will go in detail.
Okay, ma'am. So we will just go through it.
Yes,
a
go
little
through it,
bit.
try to answer why, what is metacognition, why is it important? That is, it's different from cognition.
Okay,
How
ma'am.
is it different from cognition? Why is it important in classrooms?
Classroom.
How to accept varying levels of metacognition in classrooms? You have these things there, advantages and disadvantages of metacognition in classrooms, or misconceptions and advantages of metacognition in classrooms.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, someone would like to present?
Ma'am,
Yes, ma'am. Can
the difference between metacognition and cognition.
Okay, yes, please. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Cognition is just, ma'am, like we will try to remember and like remembering, reasoning. All this will come under cognition, ma'am. Means like gaining knowledge about certain things, like about any concept, gaining knowledge and understanding. And metacognition is thinking how this has happened, how, what, when, thinking about all around, ma'am. Like we can like if something is some in one way the children want like learn, even anyone want to learn a particular thing in one method. Suppose if it is not working, not to leave then and there, so they should go for the other way. How can they reach that particular goal? How can they think in the other way? Like if one model is not working, they can go to the another model to make it to reach the goal and to understand how, when, what, all these questions should be there in the child mind, then only they can learn very perfectly. Suppose if they are listening something what teacher is saying and they are limiting up to that the statement, that will be the cognition, ma'am. According to my understanding, metacognition is thinking beyond that, how it happened, when it happened, how exactly it is, like many questions thinking. So that will come under metacognition.
Metacognition. Okay. Okay. Yes, next, Kushi.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
What I understood is like cognition is about thinking and learning, how we general thinking and learning, and while metacognition is like thinking about how you think and learn. The second level of thinking. And the importance is like metacognition helps students to learn better by making them aware of their own learning process. The thought process is changed here. It is to the next level of thinking, not to the basic level. And varies how it varies with the levels. The teachers can support students by giving help where needed and letting others work more independently. Whether it can be a reading of a sentence, whatever it is, that way they have to do it by independently and think why we are doing that, or in this way or in that way. Why not in that way? And misconceptions is something metacognition is only for older students or that everyone naturally has it, but it's need to be taught to everybody. Advantages, metacognition helps students to do better in school, learn on their own, and keep learning throughout the life.
Yes, Thank you, Kushi. I would like Tehseen ma'am, can you relate with some example and then relate some example of your classroom, anything, any process or anything. Can you connect it with your, yeah.
I would just like to share, ma'am. I just
Sure, yeah.
typed in the word.
You have typed in.
Yes. So I hope everybody can see the screen.
No, you're not sharing. You're not sharing. Yeah, now it's done.
Okay, ma'am. So here I have started with the introduction. Definition is, it refers to the process of thinking about and evaluating and controlling one's own thinking and learning. This is all about metacognition. And with regard to the difference from cognition, it is a higher level thinking skill that involves reflecting on and managing one's own cognitive process.
1 minute. Veena ma'am, please see that you have a document by the name metacognition in your FEI portal. Can you did you get it, Veena ma'am? Veena ma'am, you're there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I'll
Got
check,
it?
ma'am. I'm
Yeah.
checking, ma'am. I'm checking.
Okay, yeah. Yes, ma'am. Continue, ma'am.
And with regard to the difference from cognition, ma'am, it is a higher level thinking. Metacognition is a higher level thinking skill that involves reflecting on and managing one's own cognitive processes.
Okay.
Where cognition just refers to the mental process of our own perception or attention or just learning.
Okay.
And why metacognition is important in classrooms, as it helps students to take control of their own learning, and which also enhances their critical thinking and problem solving and decision making skills.
Okay.
It also fosters independence, self-awareness, and self-regulation, and also improves learning outcomes. And misconceptions and advantages of metacognition in classrooms, ma'am. With regard to this, the misconceptions are, this metacognition is only for high achieving students. That is one misconception. And the second one is, it's a fixed trait and cannot be developed. And with regard to the advantages, ma'am, it improves students' engagement and motivation. It also enhances teacher-student relationship.
Okay.
And also it fosters a growth mindset and a lifelong learning.
Yes.
Ma'am, you also asked about the disadvantages. If we have to talk about the disadvantages, the observation, the self-reporting, it can be biased, and formative assessments, learning analytics, and teacher feedback also can be biased, and learning surveys, classroom discussions, it can also be dominating sometimes, and reflective practices depends on the time.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, are these points correct, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Those are correct. Disadvantages we will discuss in detail when we come to that particular topic. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Preeti ma'am.
Ma'am, to be honest, I'm not getting the document that you were saying about metacognition. I just
When
searched
you
now
could have
also.
told me, na, I would have shared it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Even I'm
ma'am. It
also
is not
getting, ma'am,
there,
the
ma'am. I'm
document.
searching
Even
from
we
my
couldn't
laptop.
find it, ma'am.
1 minute, 1 minute. I don't know where my screen went.
Ma'am, I'm sharing it. I have it handy. I'll share it.
Ma'am, may I?
Yes, please. See, I want actually an example that happened in
Yes,
your
ma'am.
class.
Ma'am, I can give one example.
Can I? Yes, Sindhuri. After Sindhuri, I'll give to Preeti. Yes.
Ma'am, as you have asked an example, like the students who are having the cognition type of mentality will be just ready with their prior knowledge. But the students who develop the metacognition way, like for example, if a teacher is asking a question in the class which is of hearts, like which are actually making the children to think deeper in the subject and then answer the question. So there, the student will not be satisfied with the answer what he gave. So he start like learning much more about the content, he will plan accordingly and he come up with an answer which to the question posed by the teacher. So there he is actually gaining a knowledge which can retain for his entire life. So he is actually building up a knowledge within him.
Okay.
So that is where metacognition practice can help the students to
get advantage for them. Yes, ma'am. Preeti, ma'am. I want examples.
Yes, ma'am.
Examples.
So, ma'am, as we are talking about a simple, say, a balancing equation or a math formula. So, when a problem is given to the child, a student, when it comes to cognition, a student is just solving the math problem using the formula or like, that particular way of solving it, formulas. So, that comes under cognition. When I'm talking about metacognition, maybe the student reflects on how the different strategy can be used to solve that particular problem. So that is, I think so, metacognition, as much as I felt like that is the
Yes,
idea.
very true. And what is the advantage now that with that particular context now, the child is able to look at different strategies to solve that problem? What is the advantage of gaining that?
So, ma'am, when we talk about metacognition, problem solving strategy, he has that particular idea of resolving. He's not going into that root method of learning. So, he has the particular idea of getting the result using his own way of applying his knowledge. So, the application part is clear for the child. So, he has that understanding of that particular topic where
Very
he
true.
is
So
using that.
application, he'll be very clear of where exactly this can be applied. Thank you. Ma'am.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, Shravanti.
Yeah.
Example.
Yeah, ma'am. In my class, no, when it comes to the puzzles, like for PP1 children, when we ask them to solve a puzzle, usually it is difficult, and what they expect is we need to guide them, right? Go with the corner pieces first, select the shapes, and then you come into the thing. But see, the children, when it is a cognition way, like the children will be following our way of teaching and they'll try to solve the puzzle. But the
Very true.
children who has this metacognition, they have their own way of solving the puzzle. When we check with them, no, ma'am, I came in this way. I have started from the top and then I have sequenced along with the picture. See, there is two ways of solving the thing. One is going with the corner pieces and this, and the other one is going according to the picture. I can go from top to down also, matching the puzzles according to the picture. When I have something in my mind that this is the picture, going forward, I can relate it with the pieces. So when the child relates in a different way of approach, yes, the child is thinking in a metacognition way.
Very true. Now, what is the advantage of your child in kindergarten thinking about those strategies?
See, children always now, as in misconceptions, they think that older people, older children, older students can only have this metacognition thinking, ma'am. No. See, even at their level, even in the small children also have an advantage of thinking in a different way and of application. See, each one has their own way of application of the thing. I mean, the concept. Like, it doesn't mean that the age.
What skill are you focusing? See, there are certain, if you're attaining, I think, who was that? Preeti. Preeti told me about problem solving. What skill among your children will develop when they are doing the puzzles or riddles in a way that you have not taught them, but they develop their own strategy? What is that?
Kinesthetic activity
Thinking
based.
out of box me.
Critical thinking.
Critical thinking.
Critical thinking skills. Critical thinking skills. Got it, ma'am? So why I'm using those words is those words you will have to present in your portfolio. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes, Mallika.
Ma'am, in my class, I teach CY2, ma'am, PP1. So when I ask them to write the alphabets, we show them on the whiteboard and we ask them to write. Few will be writing, as I said, like red light to blue line. They'll complete the task and show me. And one of them will be like, they'll go around the class. They'll check each and every one book. They'll monitor every book and see whether, okay, he has written the perfect one or not. He will evaluate himself. So in that way, few will be like cognition and he will be different from the others, like metacognition. And he will be the perfectionist among the everyone. And he'll be asking for at the end.
Perfectionist
Means
doesn't come with
evaluation.
metacognition. Perfection doesn't come, but there is a they have their own strategy of learning. See, the ultimate aim of metacognition is self-learning. Okay, creating an interest in learning.
Yes.
Okay, that should happen in the students. Okay, yes. Sharmila, yes, Sharmila.
Yes, ma'am. This I have observed in my math classes. Like cognition refers, suppose in mathematics, there is a Pythagoras theorem. So that is purely based on formula. Like they'll give a triangle, you have to find out the other side. So it's just based on formula. They will apply. That's purely cognition skill. There is advanced level in it. There is two levels in it again, I felt.
Very true. Yes.
So one is trigonometry. So there we are applying the Pythagoras property and we are taking the help of trigonometric ratio and we are finding the other side of a triangle related to the angle. That is metacognition, maybe first level. There is one more level what my students achieved using the same Pythagoras is trigonometry in 3D shapes. Trigonometry, what we have seen is 2D, but trigonometry in 3D shapes, they used Pythagoras, trigonometry, and they have found out the value of the 3D. It's totally about the imagination. How an object can stand, it's a 3D. So they used all these process to work out the value on 3D shapes. So basically, I found that they had a good growth mindset. Okay, from there they have taken and it boosts almost a self-confidence for them. Like, okay, I can able to solve it. And goal setting also actually can be achieved because few students were only struck with this 2D shape. And many of them are able to achieve the 3D shape also. And as everybody said, critical thinking. It really helps in critical thinking and finding a solution for the problems.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Shampa ma'am. I'll stop with Alicia because time is up. So yes, Shampa ma'am.
Yeah, I had gone for an observation to a nursery classroom, and the teacher was teaching like formation of A with three popsicles. So the students were connecting those popsicles in the shape of an A. One student like took one popsicle and connected the two other popsicle and found a triangle. So from that he the student went to cognition to metacognition, and like eureka he shouted it's a triangle because it was in his prior knowledge of shapes.
Okay. Yeah, that connection he was able to bring. Very true. Yes.
So that was a metacognition which can like the excitement that comes in young learners through metacognition is very visible because they express themselves very explicitly because of the environment of the classroom.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Manjari.
Yes, ma'am. So this is when I teach, in fact, ma'am, poem, we have this poetic devices. So
Yes.
after explaining the poetic devices, so that's basically gaining of the knowledge. So cognition is just understanding and gaining the knowledge. It's a mental process. But identifying the poetic devices, so once, explaining the poetic devices, that's a cognition. But then when I read the stanza and I ask them to identify the poetic devices, that becomes a thinking about thinking. So basically, that's the metacognism. And then in the event, there's one child who gives the incorrect answer that this is the poetic device. The other of them, correcting the child. The rest of them correcting the child. That's also the metacognism because this is the peer review.
Yes,
And
they
then
are able to connect the text to the context.
Absolutely. And then later on, yes, it's also the reflection also is the metacognism where the child is able to understand who gave the incorrect answer, that why was he, in which manner did he give, I mean, why he was not able to understand the particular concept. So that also becomes a metacognism, self-reflection.
Yes, yes. Alicia?
Yes, ma'am. It is a very small situation I have faced in the class, and I was very happy about it. During the class, they have to frame a story by using a fantasy element. And actually, for the grade 3, it was very difficult. We tried many ways and all, and I taught them review of the story. After the story, they have to write a review. That's what the process is. And few children, what they did is, ma'am, why can't we write I mean, they started planning the story. They used the headings I gave in the review of the story to plan the story before. So without my help and all, they were able to, first they plan the story title, then they have gone with the problem solution, and then what are the external things and all. They planned first, then wrote the story, which I used it to explain to the other children also.
Very true, ma'am. That's nice actually. See, now you have given so many examples of metacognition. Okay. So anyone has still any doubt what is metacognition? In layman terms, if you ask a child to read a text, he is able to read the text, that is cognition. Okay. If they are able to give a gist of whatever they have learned, along with the character analysis, telling you very clearly, this character can have done it in this way or could have done it in a better way. Okay, that is bringing their perspectives also into the reading part of it. There comes metacognition. And the advantage of that is, remember, tomorrow that they are going to step into the future, you're allowing them to take analysis and decision of their own. The major advantage is coming there because they will not fall under any influences if they have metacognitive thinking. Okay, that is where you will have to work with your students. Remember, your perspective building and opinion forming. Now, what we are doing, as Cambridge is doing to you candidates, is developing your metacognitive thinking so that in your classes you transfer this to your students. Okay, so the homework for the upcoming week is this preparation of your unit 1. I'll be sharing books. I'm not asking you to read through completely. There will be page numbers given in Word documents. Please do come prepared with that because we will be starting with learning theories. Okay. Investigate on how people learn. Just ask questions about how they learn as adults, as children, how they learn. Okay. And please do share your feedback of the session in the Google form that will be shared with you. I'll be posting this in the chat box. You can take this. So any questions or queries? Yes, you can ask. Any questions or queries you can ask. Otherwise, call it a day. We can call it a day, and happy Janmashtami to all of you.
Wish you the same.
Thank you, ma'am. Wish you the
Happy
same.
Janmashtami to you too, ma'am.
Thank you.
ma'am.
Yes, Kushi?
Thank you.
I just want you to review my feedback once.
Yes, please, you can share. Peer observation, you're saying. Others
Yes,
can leave. It's not mandatory that you need to stay.
ma'am, this is like observation for a class of grade 3 on verbs. So the lesson started with a clear introduction about verbs, and students played a fun verb matching game to help them understand the concept better. So this game made learning about verbs exciting and easy for them to remember.
Now,
the lesson helps students
matching
better
game.
understand.
Okay. 1 minute. Verb matching game. Okay.
Yes. The lesson helps students better understand verbs by having them use verbs in sentences after an interactive game, textbook exercises. This practice showed how verbs fit into writing, making their learning more complete.
Why do
Overall,
you use 1 minute? Here you cannot use more complete because why do you think that is more complete?
okay, like it's not completely, a little bit more
You
of
have
it.
written there how verbs fit into writing. Isn't it? So extend the same thing here.
Okay.
Okay. So what happens after how verbs fit into writing, making their learning more effective in their writing process, isn't it?
Okay. Yes. Understood. And overall, the mix of fun activities and clear teaching made the lesson successful and boosted students' confidence in using verbs.
Yes, correct. Only thing you have to add references.
Okay.
Quotes and references.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. So you
Ma'am,
can.
one thing is that how do we get so many codes? And I mean, that's
You
the.
will get from next week. Don't worry. We are sharing books now. books and
Okay.
research articles, you will start getting quotes. As you read, no, you yourself will say, this is a very good sentence. I can use it somewhere. You will start noting.
Okay. Okay, bye. Fine,
Yeah.
ma'am. Thank you.
Yes, any other queries? Otherwise, you can
you, ma'am.
leave.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you.